everybody. Welcome to Thwack Camp. I am Carlo Zatilny, Distinguished Engineer here at SolarWinds, and I'm going to talk to you today about the future of AIOps and how we are going to be slowly replacing the human brain one neuron at a time. So why AIOps? So first of all, it's because the machines told us that they're planning on taking over anyway, so we may as well help them out. Software is slowly replacing brains. We have self-driving cars and a lot of other technology that helps us do things more efficiently. Humans are still needed in a lot of real-world applications, but AIOps is here to help facilitate the transition from a lot of jobs that we're doing manually today to things that are done with the help of the machines. Also, algorithms are getting better at mimicking the human decision-making. As we do things in IT and we decide certain things that we want to do, algorithms are getting better at selecting when it would do something for us. So as those algorithms keep getting better, there's less and less need for the humans to interact with the actual day-to-day of the operations of an IT environment. Also, as scale has gotten better, we have a lot more data to work with. So we have metrics, logs, traces, and all of these other data sources that allow us to have that vast amounts of data to make these quick decisions. So the machines are able to process that data much faster and at scale so that they're able to take a lot more into consideration than we as humans are able to do ourselves. Also, there's an extreme shortage of IT professionals today. DevOps, SREs, and IT admins, there's just not enough of us to go around. And so as we use AIOps, it will help us scale ourselves to be much better. We'll be able to do more as individuals and as teams than we have been able to do historically. So as I mentioned, we have this set of data that we're looking at, and this data helps us to do things that we haven't always been able to historically do. So what data are we looking at in AIOps to help us be more efficient? First and foremost, we're looking at metrics like we always have. Metrics give us key indicators as to what's going on inside of the environment. AIOps has brought us anomaly detection. These key events inside of metrics help us know what's changed, what's different inside of my environment. So AIOps is already helping us with key indicators as to what's been going on. Logs are a tremendous data source. They help us to know exactly what's been going on inside of the software. Logs are a way for software developers to communicate with the system and tell us what's going on inside of the software. With that, though, it becomes an extreme mess of data. Logs are just 99% noise with 1% gold nuggets. And filtering through all of those millions and millions of log lines is just impossible or untenable for a single person to do. And thus, AIOps comes into play to help us filter through all of those logs to find those gold nuggets in order for us to know exactly what are the key events that are going on. Traces are just a specialized log event. They allow us to see a flow. They're very sequential. They let us know how the data and information is flowing through a system. And thus we're able to know exactly what is going on. And again, at the volume that traces happen in software today, it's impossible for us to know as a human being just everything that's going on. And what does a normal trace look like? What does a normal flow look like? Very difficult for us to tell for every single trace that might be going through our system. So again, AIOps is coming in here. The machines tell us what's normal, and they're able to help us find those key differentiators within the environment. As I talk about these different things of AIOps today, I want you to focus on a thesis that we have here at SolarWinds, and that is that most problems that are happening in IT environments today are due to human interaction, whether it's a deployment or a change in behavior or something that somebody does, a change of configuration. That's usually a key point of change within the environment that actually causes a problem. And so it's identifying those changes that somebody's done inside of the environment that we're really looking for. So the AIOps is actually helping us find, what did somebody do? What changed inside of the environment that actually is going to be the root cause or even the solution to the problem inside of your IT environment. So as we try to mimic what people do, we need to learn what you're actually doing. So as an IT admin with your observability software, what are you doing when you look at the data inside of the monitoring software? First and foremost, we look at metrics, right? We like to look at those line charts and see exactly what's going on. But when you look at a line chart, what exactly are you looking for? You are looking for trends, spikes, seasonality, all of these things the human brain is amazing at doing. And that's what we're trying to teach the machines to do. They can look at millions and millions of metrics, see those spikes, see those correlations, see that seasonality at a volume that we just can't do as humans. But we want to be able to teach the machines exactly what we're doing so that we're able to say, look for the spikes, look for the change points, look for that seasonality in order to let us know what's normal and then what's changed. We really are looking for those key events of change that happen inside of an environment so that instead of looking through millions and millions of metrics, the machine is able to then filter it for us to say, no, here's the 10 metrics that you really need to look at. We don't want to have to look at millions and millions of metrics because we just don't have the time. We use the AIOps to help us, filter down those metrics to see, what had a change point, what had an anomaly, what had a spike, and find those correlations for us quickly. So like I was saying, you just can't analyze those terabytes of data. You don't have the time. You're limited in what you can do. Plus, there's a lot more important things for IT admins, network admins, SREs to do throughout their day rather than just sit there and stare at loads and loads of log data, read traces all day long to try and memorize which traces are the most efficient. That's just not time well spent. So we can train the machines to actually look at all of this data and find those things that we would look for. So what you would do if you were looking through and you could look through all of that data, we're just going to do that, but let the machine do it at volume and let the machine do it in a way that you would do it, but just faster, at scale, more data, etc. Another thing that's difficult for us as humans to do is to know the topology of absolutely every application and every network within our system. As we scale up to thousands of applications running on thousands of servers running through thousands of networking devices, it's hard for us to know just all of the topology points and how everything's actually connected together. So again, AIOps helps us to narrow down the scope of what's going on inside of the IT environment by knowing if there's an anomaly on a certain metric, what are the topological related entities to that point so that we're not looking through vast amounts of data, but we narrow down the scope drastically by having the AIOps components tell us exactly what are the relationships and what are the probable things that are correlated to that certain event that we're looking at. So again, happening at a volume that we're unable to do as people. And again, the AIOps is helping us get there. Moreover, the AIOps helps us to understand the uniqueness of an event. We're unable to look at all of the things that are going on in the system simultaneously. And so we don't know just how anomalous is an anomaly or how unique is a specific event or log or trace within the IT environment. And by being able to do filtering of the data at volume, the AIOps components are able to do that for us. So we're able to really quickly reduce the amount of scope that you need to look at by picking out those important things. I like to use the analogy of if I were to send you 1 million photographs and I needed you to find the 10 photos of a dog, we know machine learning helps us filter through photos really quickly. So if I send you 10 million photos and only 10 of them are of dogs and all the rest of them are of cats, today's machine learning is able to help us do that really quickly so that it would at least probabilistically help you identify those photos of dogs much faster than you could do looking through 1 million photos of different animals. The one thing that we do as well as people is often fix the problem. We know that we have to revert a change, revert a deployment, restart a service, restart a server, reset a network port. We know what to do in order to fix problems often. And as we do those things, that's one thing that AIOps is really targeted at doing. I mentioned earlier that we really need to have AIOps look at what people are doing. And that's really what we're focusing on at SolarWinds, is finding what are the people doing, not only in causing the problem, but also at solving the problem. So as you're going through your environment, it's really important for you as users to know that you're monitoring the changes that you're doing as solutions, so that AIOps is able to look and say, oh, Tom went in there and he restarted the service, and that actually brought everything back down to normal within baseline things, and the anomaly stopped. And so that allows the AIOps components to go in and say, there was a bunch of anomalies, service got restarted by Tom, anomaly stopped. That's a probable solution. So AIOps is focused not only on identifying all of these problems, but also on identifying the solutions. So we really need you as users to start monitoring the things that you're doing and noting those inside of your environment. If you go in and change a network device configuration and we don't know that you changed that network device configuration, then we don't necessarily know the solution to a problem within your environment. And as we aim to help you scale and aim to help you get better at your job, we need to know those solutions so that the AIOps can suggest those solutions as part of the overall AIOps story. So as we start to look at the different things that are going on inside of your environment, I've already touched on this point a few times, but again, there is a progression of events that's always going on within a system. And most often those are human-related, or in some cases, environment-related changes that both start the problem and then solve the problem. So if it's a failed hard drive, that's environmental. But if the failed hard drive is a key event that we're able to monitor and capture, then we see everything is normal until that key event of the failed hard drive, and then everything is not normal after that. Then we know that there's that change point or inflection point. And so we want to be able to know what is normal operation, key change points, and then again, back to my previous point, we want to know those solutions. So again, we need to be watching all of the things that are going on within the IT infrastructure in order to give the AIOps components enough data and enough visibility to be able to identify the problems and the solutions so that we can actually have that flow of information. And then we're able to then have more automated remediation. So if we notice that you just keep going in and restarting a service, then that's something that we can start to automate or suggest as a solution to problems within the IT environment with similar patterns of history that we've seen before. A great analog to this inside of the software industry is Kubernetes and other such orchestrators. Kubernetes did for software what we're trying to do with AIOps inside of monitoring and observability. Kubernetes took a common problem that software developers had as far as scaling and restarting services and doing other actions that we kept doing again and again, but really wanted to automate it. So orchestrators inside of software do a lot of things that we as software developers want to do, but not necessarily sit there at the keyboard and keep doing it automatically. So orchestrators give us an opportunity to set up rules. And those rules, when followed, then do these automated actions that then remediate problems. So as a environment starts to scale up and there's more website users, the orchestrator adds containers or adds virtual machines to scale up the environment. As the users come back down, the orchestrator then scales down the environment. So it's these simple rule sets that allow the orchestrator to do different actions. And that's really what AIOps is going to be based off of moving forward, is that it's going to be able to take these rule sets and then learn from the rule sets and start to apply those rules in novel ways. So as your IT environment starts to scale up or have problems or things happen, it's going to be able to be orchestrated in a way where that it's going to be able to suggest solutions or in fact have those solutions automated for you. So what you see Kubernetes and other orchestrators doing today, that's really the future of AIOps tomorrow. Just to add to that point a little bit more, AIOps, like I was saying, is really self-taught orchestration. So while it will start with rule-defined sort of things that you will define as an IT administrator, it's really going to progress. So AIOps just needs that foundation of orchestration in order for it to learn to suggest even better things. So as it learns that restarting services or restarting a virtual machine or something like that actually solves a problem, then it will be able to then suggest such remediations given similar situations. So you might not be able to orchestrate everything yourself automatically, but AIOps is targeted at learning those patterns and then applying those universally across the environment. So as we start to scale up and have deployments across multiple customers even, we'll have algorithms that will be able to look across customers and say, this is a sort of pattern that we've seen across the industry, and start applying those patterns for you as individual customers. So AIOps also benefits from the fact that we have many customers using the software simultaneously across the portfolio, and we'll be able to learn across all of the different people from the industry so that we're able to use all of the similar patterns that everybody has and apply that to everybody individually. AIOps is highly driven by data, and like in all things, the quality of the data is key. With bad data, you're going to get bad results. There's a saying that I'm sure everybody is familiar with, and that's garbage in, garbage out. As we've looked at a lot of the different algorithms and approaches in AIOps, we've found that as we put in bad data, we get out bad recommendations. So again, I hate to say it again and again, but we really need our users to be monitoring as much as they can, especially those things that they are doing inside of the environment. We want to know when a software deployment happened. We want to know when a database schema has changed. These configuration changes, these people-driven actions inside of an environment really are the key points that AIOps is going to be able to build on so that it knows, what changed, what was the root cause of the behavioral change within the IT infrastructure. And as the quality of data moves up and the ability for the AIOps to use that high quality of data goes in, then we're going to get the higher quality of output. Just like if you were teaching a self-driving car and all you had it was in a big wide open field and all it knew how to do was drive through a big wide open field, and that's how you taught it to drive, and then you put it in downtown traffic, it would do horribly because its input data of just driving through a field made it so that it could just turn left and right whenever it wanted to, and then you put it in traffic and suddenly your self-driving car is just causing a bunch of accidents. So you really need that data, that quality of data to be there. So if you want to teach a car how to be self-driving, you need to have it drive and learn from traffic scenarios and in real life scenarios so that it's able to make the right decisions when it's in those real situations. So just to give the emphasis where I really want it, what makes a good event? Again, it's got to be human caused. So we're looking at algorithms that tell us how far away from a human caused event are these other events. So good events, they're timely, they're specific. It can't be, oh, somebody somewhere changed something. That's not a good event. It needs to be John changed the configuration that deals with this networking device at this specific time. Those are really quality events. As the more that we know, the more context that we're able to glean from the information of a specific event, the more we'll be able to identify if that event was truly affected within the topologies that I mentioned earlier. If I know that you changed a configuration somewhere, I don't know if that configuration specifically affected a topology that's currently having a problem. So in order to have that high quality of data, you need to have something that is very specific and knows exactly where it happened inside of the topology, so that when a problem does happen, or if it does happen as a result of a configuration change, the AIOps components are able to say, oh, there is a high likelihood that these changes that you made recently are the root cause of these anomalies and these other problems that you're seeing inside of the environment today. So it's really a quality of event that we're trying to go for. So again, I'll say it again, please monitor everything that you do inside of your environment, and that will really help the AIOps story move forward as we continue to release software at SolarWinds. So AIOps really needs to qualify the events. I mentioned earlier that it's going to be able to qualify events as far as a distance from what a human did. So sometimes a human does something like in groups, when we go to a Black Friday sale, for example, and we all increase the traffic on Amazon.com or some other website to go buy something, then we increase the traffic as a group, and that traffic increase might then cause some downstream effects, and those downstream effects might eventually cause a problem within the infrastructure. But it's really the change of behavior of a whole bunch of people going to a website that cause the downstream problems. And if a problem ends up, 10 or 17 events downstream, we need to make that correlation of that 17th event is actually 17 degrees separated from the humans going on to the website, and being able to then correlate that, the 17 hops later, there was this problem, or the 17 hops earlier, there was this cause. And then what did maybe a solution happen is, you scaled up the environment and everything went back to normal. Again, the cause and effect there that we're trying to get within the AIOps solutions is deterministic on the uniqueness of those events and how we're able to relate them to each other, so that we know that when something happens, it's actually being able to be related to everything else through the different topology and through the causal chain that we want to be able to use in order to have the machines then automate those reactions that we don't want you to have to do day in and day out. We really want to have that data so that automation and orchestration is in your future, versus having to approve absolutely every single service reboot that's going on within your environment. So to wrap up, because the machines told me, monitor your changes. AIOps is really focused on identifying both the problems and solutions to what's going on inside of your environment. Make sure that you are doing that which is necessary in order to give us the best and highest quality data, so that as we go into the environment, we're able to help you scale beyond your current availability and your current skills. What we really want to do with AIOps is make it so that your job is so much easier, because you have confidence in the software that it knows what to do when certain problems happen within the environment. Just like an orchestrator comes in and adds containers to scale, we want to be able to do that for you inside of the IT infrastructure. We want to be able to add things to help you scale. We want to be able to tell you when things are going to run out of hard drive space. There's all of these different components that, when you put them all together, really makes the IT administrator that much more successful, that much more effective at doing the job. And so we really are looking forward to taking this story and taking this AIOps component there with you at SolarWinds. And we know that as we work together and bring this high quality of data to the machines will help us be more effective and really bring the success to all of our IT infrastructure that we know that it can. So thank you for watching this episode of Thwack Camp. So on behalf of me and the machines, thank you and have a great Thwack Camp.